Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Now, as we know, the transfer window is well underway. It's thrown up some surprising deals, and I'm going to rank some of the ones done so far. Obviously, there's loads I've missed, probably. So if you want me to do a part 2, I can. Just tell me some deals that I've missed, and we can do it. We're back again with the tier list format. So without further ado, I'm going to get started with Arsenal. They've been a busy bees in this transfer window. So we're just going to have a quick talk about all their signings so far and rank them. So to start off with, the 5 tiers are the best tiers, obviously top move, you've got great move, good move, okay move, and then of course the bottom tier is a bad move. I'm going to rank this on quite a few factors. Obviously number 1 is the price, the profile of player, so i.e. their age, their ability, and if they improve the squad. Should we start off big? Let's start off big. Victor Gyokeres, they finally got their man, finally got a striker. This was, every day there was an update from Fabrizio saying it's collapsing. No, it's on. In the end, it became a little bit annoying, I'm not going to lie. But they've got him over the line now. They've got a top quality striker and arguably the best striker in Europe last season. We know what he did in the Portuguese league. We know what he did in the Champions League. So to get this done for 65 million, I know there's add-ons, but the initial fee was 65 million. And what he could bring to Arsenal, it's an easy top move. It's got to go in the top tier for me. Could this be the season Arsenal finally get a trophy over the line? I don't think it'll be the Prem, to be totally honest with you. But I can see them winning something. And I hope Gyokeres can start on fire, hit the ground running, and really add to that Arsenal attack. Another Arsenal attacker, Noni Madueke for 55 million. I'm a little bit unconvinced by this. Madueke is a good player, he's very electric, good dribbler, but he just lacks a lot of finishing, which Arsenal lacked a lot of last season. It's a bit harsh because I do like Madueke, but the fee, there's players in his position already. Is he really going to start for Arsenal? And they're paying 55 million for what is a bench player. Oh, this is going to be harsh. I'm going to put it in bad move. I just think there were better options for Arsenal to go and get. Obviously, you had Rodrigo from Real Madrid, who's not favoured at the moment. If I was Arsenal, I would have spent that 20 million more on Rodrigo, who's, world proven. I don't know why Real Madrid are even letting him go, to be honest. But yeah, it feels harsh. But I'm going to put Madueke in bad move. Like I said, we're sticking with Arsenal. Going on to their midfield now, Zubimendi for 50 million. Well, 51 million. I think it was a release clause. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I like Zubimendi. I think he's a good little player. He's obviously not your standard defensive midfielder who's like this big, tall, physical rock, but he knows how to keep the tempo, and that's going to be important for Arteta. You know what? Let's put it in great move. They needed to get a good midfield replacement, and they've done that. Great move. Yeah, we'll put Zubimendi in great. Christian Norgard to Arsenal. 11 million, Brentford's captain. Let's be honest, he's just there for depth, isn't he? I mean, it's a good signing, very experienced. He was Brentford's captain. So for that, I'm just going to put it in okay. He's not going to start, but if he comes on the pitch, you can rely on him. Last but not least of Arsenal's transfers, Kepa. This one confused me, I'll be honest. Not because I don't think Kepa's a bad keeper. I think he's actually really good. But is he going to start over Raya? I don't think so. I don't see him starting over Raya. I don't see him claiming the number 1 spot. And it's just a bit of a waste because I think Kepa really could have been the undisputed number 1 at Bournemouth. They had a good project going. I don't get it personally. Like I said, multiple factors. It is good cover to have. He is an okay keeper. If Raya does get injured, you've got a reliable number 2. Someone who can come on, they're not going to be shaking between the sticks. So that's why I'm going to put it in okay. But from an Arsenal point of view, they've got 2 very solid, both Spanish keepers. So that rounds out Arsenal's transfers. By the way, I'm not going club by club. I'm just going, because a lot of clubs have been busy in this window. Might as well just rank them all together. So from Arsenal to champions Liverpool now. I want to kick off with obviously the big one. Florian Wirtz. It's got to go in top move, isn't it? I mean, 116 million. I know 16 million's in add-ons, but he's probably one of the best talents in Europe right now. Obviously went unbeaten with Leverkusen a couple seasons ago. And he's just a really good player, really electric. I think he can add a lot to that Liverpool midfield and attack. So, yeah, for me, it's got to be top move. I mean, even better if he stays uninjured, because I know he had a few bad injuries a couple seasons ago. Yeah, for me, Florian Wirtz is a top move. Right, on to Jeremy Frimpong now. Obviously, £30 million release clause. For that, just for the price alone, to be honest, I'm going to put it in great move. I mean, they lost Trent on a free. In my opinion, don't think that's that bad of a loss. Yeah, they'll miss a lot of the creative stuff and set pieces, but they've got that in other parts of the squad. I don't think it's that great of a loss. Sorry, Liverpool fans. I know he's a homegrown talent and, came up through the academy and, there's that sentimental value. But to be honest, I don't think it's that bad of a loss. I think you've upgraded with Frimpong, to be honest. So, yeah, I'm going to put Frimpong in great move. From the right back now to a left back, got Gyokeres, 40 million. Left back upgrade was needed for Liverpool. Obviously, I know they won the league and stuff, but you could see Robertson, unfortunately, was waning in his powers. And to go out and get one of the best left backs, if not the best left back in the league last season, for 40 million to replace the weakest spot in your squad, it's a great move. And that's where it's going to go. It's going to go in great move. Hugo Ekitike, I keep saying his name wrong, I know, but it's a good signing. He had a great season last season, but they're paying 70 million off of one season. I mean, if he, proves to be really good, then it's a really good, transfer, but I'm not too sure where to put this because this signing could go either way. Obviously they paid big money for Darwin Núñez coming off a good season, and look how he's performed for him. He's been inconsistent. Liverpool fans have lost patience with him. I'm just worried this could be another Darwin Núñez. I'm going to be harsh and I'm going to put it in okay. I don't think it's a bad move because if he turns out to be, a 15, 20 goal a season striker and, gets some crucial goals for Liverpool, has some really outstanding performances, yeah, it's a great spend of 70 million, but it could just as much easily go another way. So it's a bit difficult. I'm going to put it in okay. On to Man City now. They've made some good signings. We'll start with the most recent, and that's James Trafford. They activated the buyback clause. And you know what? I have my opinions on James Trafford. I've caught some flack for it before, being biased towards him. But this is a great move, Young, talented goalkeeper. He's played under the system before. And I was discussing this with Connor, and we both said he can only improve. He's still young. I think he's like 22, 23. Like I said, played in the academy before. So I didn't watch a lot of him in the Championship last season, but if his distribution's a little bit weak, it can be improved. But if you're getting signed for Man City, you must be good with the ball at your feet. So yeah, Trafford to City is a great move. Next, I've got Tijani Reinders. Again, I forgot this even happened. It was so early in the window. 70 million. I'm going to put it in great move. He was the best midfielder. Well, he was voted the best midfielder in Serie A last season because obviously Scott McTominay won Player of the Season. And I think City did need a midfield refresh. Their midfield struggled without Rodri. Gundogan was looking leggy. So to bring in some midfield reinforcements was needed. And they've done that. They brought in possibly one of the best midfielders in Europe. Here's the big one. Rayan Cherki. We know Cherki's talent. He's so good on the ball. He's still so young. I'm saying just for the fee alone, to get a player like Rayan Cherki for 35 million, it's got to go in top move. If you guys disagree with me, that's fine. Either way, it's the top 2 tiers for me. There's no way that attack downgrades or underperforms next season. I just can't see it. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the top tier. If you guys disagree, like I said, feel free to comment. But for me, it's a top move. They're neighbours now, Man United. They've brought in 2 players so far. Let's talk about Cunha. Obviously, they paid his release clause of 62.5 million. Had a good season with Wolves last season. Showed good technical ability, good finishing. But I think he could fall under this Man United trap. Could he become a toxic player? Could his attitude cause problems? Because it caused a lot of problems last season for him. And the thing is with the Man United ethos at the moment, I think it could go so wrong, but it could also go so right at the same time. I'm going to put it in great move. Just because of, like I said, his performances last season was easily head and shoulders above that Wolves team. And yeah, to get him on his release clause, no drama, and to add to an attack that, let's be honest, needed goals. Xerxes was benched a lot of last season. Højlund's been catching more and more flack per day for his finishing. Yeah, to add to your attack, great move. I'm also going to put Mbeumo in great move. Obviously, it took him a while to get him. Took over, 40, 50 days? They finally got him for around 60, 70 million. And for a man who scored, 20 goals last season, had that brilliant link up with Visser at Brentford. Like I said, you can criticise me in the comments. It's a great move. You've got a serial Premier League goal scorer. He knows what it's like to play in the league. He can come off the right. I think he can probably play on a floating 10 as well. From what I've seen of United's lineups, that's what he seems to be playing. So yeah, it's a great move. I mean, it took you a little while to get him, but you got him now. On to Newcastle now. They've only made one signing that I'm aware of. That's Anthony Elanga. I like Elanga. I really like watching him play. He's so fast, so direct, and he's improved on his game as well. At United, he was just, known as a pace merchant, didn't really have any end product. But at Forest, he showed that. And he's going to be so good on the counter for Newcastle. He was good on the counter for Forest. Newcastle have had a bit of bad luck in the transfer window. All their players just seem to want to leave. Isak's apparently going to Liverpool. Not a lot of their players, their targets are coming in either. They lost out with Trafford. They had links with Scalvini. That didn't happen. I'm going to put it in good, just because, Anthony Elanga, he's very fast, added a little bit of end product, but it's still not quite there. It is an upgrade on Jacob Murphy. But if you think this could be moved up to great move, that's fine. But right, sticking in the Prem. Mohamed Kudus to Spurs for 55 million. This one hurt me, obviously being a West Ham fan. But you know what? I get it. He played predominantly on the side Jared Bowen's on, and apparently Graham Potter says he prefers Bowen as a player. And you know what? To an extent, I agree. Bowen tries a bit harder. He's, a better finisher. Kudus is very good, don't get me wrong. He's very quick, very direct, great dribbler. But you could see his mind just weren't there at West Ham. So for our perspective, to sell a player that weren't that interested for more than I think we bought him for, it's a good win for us, but we've also lost out on a very good natural talent. To be honest, great move for Spurs. Actually showing some business in the transfer window. And yeah, I think it'll be really good for Spurs. It'll be really fun to watch in Thomas Frank's system. Right, okay, Kyle Walker to Burnley is the next one. This is a double-edged sword, this one. Obviously, he's very experienced, he was a great defender, but just recently, for England and City, you can see him starting to fade a little bit. And I think you're going to get that at Burnley. I think you're going to see a faded version of Kyle Walker, but he's got experience, he's won loads of Premier League titles, he's probably the best right-back in Premier League history, isn't he? Let's be real. But he's just a little bit old now. A lot of people are comparing him to when Ferdinand went to QPR, and you know what? It's not the harshest comparison. I'm not going to say it's a bad move because 5 million for a very experienced player, played at the top level. Because it's I'm going to put it in good move because it's Burnley. I think if he went anywhere else, it'd probably be okay or bad. But Burnley need some reinforcements this summer, and they've got an experienced one. Let's talk about Sunderland. Done some good deals recently. I'm going to talk the most recent one. I think it was confirmed earlier today. That's Granit Xhaka for 20 million. I'm going to put this in good move. Just because when I did see Xhaka in the Prem last, it was okay. But for me, there were more bad performances than good. But, he's showed improvements at, by Leverkusen. Obviously, he was part of that Invincible team as well. And you know what? He's experienced. He's a leader, and I think he'll be solid in that midfield. I think Sunderland do have an okay midfield going into this season. And then we'll move on to Simon Adingra. This one came out of nowhere. I really like Simon Adingra for the same reason I like Elanga. So quick, so direct. And I think Brighton have made a mistake letting him go, to be honest. I know Brighton will probably go and sign some random Peruvian 16-year-old, but I think it'll be a big loss. And for 21 million, obviously it's plus add-ons as well, but let's just talk about the flat fee. Again, because it's Sunderland, the context, I think it's a great move. Premier League experience as well. Still young. I think he's got 21 or 22, which is insane to think. So, yeah, Sunderland are doing good deals this summer. I wouldn't be shocked if they survive. Okay, we'll talk about Brentford next. Jordan Henderson on a free. I don't mind Jordan Henderson. But, okay, to be fair, yeah, he's a good leader, good energy. Very, very big leader. And, of course, they did lose Norgard. It's on a free as well for 2 years. I'll put it in good move because, Brentford did lose a key midfielder in Norgard, as mentioned, lost the captain, and then they've gone and replaced Norgard with possibly one of the best captains in modern Premier League history. Let's have it straight. Yeah, I'm going to put this in good move for Brentford. And I'm also going to put Caoimhin Kelleher, I'm going to put that in good move as well. Obviously, he proved his nous at Liverpool, and a lot of people are saying, does he deserve first team football? And he's probably going to get it at Brentford. Mark Flecken's gone to, I think it's Leverkusen, correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, I think Kelleher's going to, claim the number one gloves quite easily at Brentford. Let's go to Europe now. Let's talk about one I didn't see coming, and it's still a bit of a shock for me. And that's Osimhen to Galatasaray. He is far, far too young to be playing in the Turkish league. I think he's still in his prime, to be honest, or even approaching his prime. But, Galatasaray, they mean business. They paid his release clause. I think they paid close to it. It's like 70, 75 million. And yeah, for me, this is a top move. Obviously, he was unbelievable for them last season. His performances in the Turkish Super League. And I remember him in the Europa League just absolutely bullying Tottenham Hotspur. It was insane to watch. And to think they've now got him permanently, and he's going to be doing that week in, week out again in the Turkish League. Obviously alongside Sane as well, who I forgot to mention in this list. Yeah, it's a top move for Galatasaray. Kevin De Bruyne to Napoli on a free. I'm going to put this in great move, just because we know what Kevin De Bruyne can do. A lot of people are saying he could still do it in the Prem. You know what? I agree with them. I was surprised Man City let him go, but they've got a big chunk of wages off the bill, and Napoli have got, still a world-class talent. So let's keep in Serie A. Jonathan David to Juventus on a free. This is a good move. I like this one. Yeah, Jonathan David was really good for Lille last season. Has been for quite a few seasons, to be honest. He's a great finisher. He's two-footed, and he's gone to Juventus. But yeah, I like Jonathan David, and I like this move. Like I said, we'll stick with Serie A. I've got Evan Ferguson on loan to Roma. Again, it's a tough one. He started off really well, was looking like one of the best future prospects for Brighton, and then it just sort of all came to a halt. And obviously he went to West Ham, done pretty much near to nothing, has gone on loan to Roma and scored 4 in his first pre-season game. I'm going to give it a good move, just because it's a different league. He can channel his ability and maybe come back to the Premier League and be a better striker, maybe get a move to someone else. But yeah, I think this is a good move for Evan Ferguson. Back to the Premier League now. Let's finish with Chelsea. Done some good signings, Club World Cup winners, of course. And let's talk about Delap signing for 30 million. A lot of people criticise this move. Oh, it's not a typical Chelsea striker move. But the thing is, I think Liam Delap's a good player. He's still quite young. I think he's either 20 or 21. It's insane. He got 12 goals for Ipswich last season in a terrible Ipswich team. Because let's be honest, they were up against it. They were trying to survive, and unfortunately they didn't do that. English hype as well. I'll put this in a good move. I think it's a good move. Got Jamie Bino Gittins here for 50 million. I'm not too sure about this one. Obviously he was really good for Dortmund, but it's only one season to pay 50 million for him. Oh, it's a bit of an overpayment by Chelsea, but that's what they do at the minute. People are saying this could be a Jadon Sancho Mark II. We're yet to see that. I'm going to put it in okay. It's a bit harsh, but it could literally go either way. He could literally hit the ground running, become one of Chelsea's really good young talents, or he could just fall off a cliff and be labelled a flop. So I'm going to put it in okay. João Pedro as well to Chelsea. Another £50 million spend. I like this move. I think it adds a lot to Chelsea's attack. Obviously, João Pedro is very, very versatile. He can play as striker, behind the striker, on the left. Done well for Brighton as well. There is a little bit of his aggressiveness. People are not too sure about it. But if Chelsea can get it under control and get him to play how he was playing at Brighton, could be a brilliant signing. Nevertheless, I'm going to put it in good move. I do think it's a good move. Got European football. They beat Newcastle to it. 50 million for a talented player. Yeah, it's a good move. I like this one. So with that, guys, that is all of the transfer rumours I've got here today. Obviously, there is a load more I could mention. Like I said, feel free to comment any I've missed, because I'm pretty sure I've missed some big ones. What do you think about these moves? Have I been too harsh? Have I been too nice to some of these players? Obviously, your opinions are always welcome in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media. Check out our Spotify as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new. And we'll see you in the next one, guys. See you later.